Hey guys, welcome to the fifth edition of the Clappy and Frank. It's a little crazy to say fifth already. And
it's been a really amazing, incredible journey. Fifth episode. The last episode got almost 8,000 views. We're asking everybody to please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you any money. Hit the like button on the bottom. Subscribe. You'll get notifications on all our future videos and podcasts. It's very important. It's important that we reach 1,000 subscribers right away, that we can be monetized and make the cha-ching.
today we have the great honor of having Yitsy Shalevitz, longtime truck driver in the food business. And my other channel is X Everyday People. And we want to know, what is a good Jewish boy driving a truck?
What is a Jewish book? Baruch Hashem, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here. But I got this all started during COVID. I was working a regular job.
Doing what?
For a company that sold nursing home supplies, and we got laid off, everybody, and it just turned out that other doors opened up. No one was willing to work at that time. And I said to myself, I cannot sit at home all day and do nothing. It's not possible. I said, God, I'll try to do the best that I can to help people. And I got involved with desserts. I got involved with catering, helping everyone, doing these chasnas in the backyards. And that led to a whole different avenue. And driving a truck is one of them. And it's fun. I get to go around places that I would never, ever go on a regular basis.
Yitsy, if you went on your first date and you told your wife that you're going to become a truck driver, how would that play itself out?
It'd be one and done. One and done.
I just wanted to mention, you mentioned something interesting, that a lot of your success happened because of COVID.
Yes.
Which is something that happened in my personal life. That's when I bumped into Moshe Frank and I started my art career and my Judaica
I also
career.
bumped into him on COVID.
And it's
It's a
just
great story.
very interesting. What I'm finding out now from interviewing many people is that, Baruch Hashem, many people that were laid off from their jobs and they thought, oh my God, how am I going to support my family?
Yeah.
A lot of my friends went back to school. They were in their mid-30s. They went back to school. They got their master's degree and they're doing really well financially now. Education, accounting, business, one or two in medicine. But I'm finding that it was a reset button on a lot of people. Hashem works in mysterious ways, got laid off from their job, and their new careers are way, way better than they ever imagined with what they worked in until then. So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I am 42.
42 years old, and you worked different jobs until COVID happened, and then when COVID happened, you went into catering and to trucking
Yes.
because you wanted to feed your family.
It wasn't just that. It also, I cannot sit at home. I was a little bit of a skeptic on COVID to begin with. That's from the beginning, and I'm not going to hide that. I was very skeptical on it, and I just couldn't sit at home. I couldn't be locked up and not be outside, not going anywhere. I had no direction. I had nothing. It was just like get up and like watch TV or sit on the computer and watch YouTube all day. I can't do that. And I couldn't. And people were calling, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this?
So how did it go from sitting on the couch, not knowing where you're going to get your next $5 from, to driving a truck?
So it went like this. They were doing chasanas in the backyards of people. And a friend of mine who's a caterer called me up. I need someone to do pickups in Williamsburg for me and in Monroe. Monroe, I came for the first time there. And it was like I left New York. It was
picking up what?
Picking up challahs, food, trays of sesame chicken, cholent trays, all these kind of things. And I walked in, and
you're never in the food business until then.
I was in the food business. I grew up in the food business. My uncle owned the bakery, and I grew up in it. And I worked there in the bakery, but after I got married, I was not in the food business. And I knew the people, I knew all the caterers, and I knew all these people, but it wasn't like my life. My life was not. I worked for a company that did nursing home supplies, and we did nothing to do with food.
But what was your job in the nursing home company?
Well, we sold clothing to residents, private residents ordered clothing and uniforms for staffing, and we took the orders, we packed it, and we were running sales at facilities. That was my job.
So, Yitsy, as I start opening the question, what's a good Jewish boy driving a truck? First of all, could driving create a viable living for a Frum person with a bunch of kids in private school in yeshiva?
It's very difficult. You have to have side hustle. I have several side hustles, and I got involved in catering, and I consult for them all the time. And that really, without that, I couldn't survive. But it can make a living, but obviously there's limits because there's a lot of guys who are doing now, random driving, like car service type of driving. And sometimes it's more convenient to just send 4 or 5 deliveries than paying a guy, full-time salary, and then he's working maybe only 30 hours a week. So people end up hiring the guy for the day. So there's a lot of competition in that.
You own a truck?
No.
So you drive a truck for a food company?
For a food company.
And you get paid by the delivery route or by a weekly salary?
I get paid a weekly salary, and I do some sales, so I get a little bit of commission, and I get around, and I do also some catering, so I get a lot. I do a lot of consulting for that, so I get a salary from that too.
In 2017, I was looking for a career change, and I interviewed with a lot of Jewish companies.
Yeah.
And 2 Heimische companies. One's a salad company, and one's like a dry good nuts company. Nobody's getting any free advertisements, so I'm not going to say their name, but names and brands that everybody heard of.
Okay.
I sat down for interviews. And they were telling me, if you drive one of our trucks and you have a couple of guys that help you on the truck, but you'll be the driver. They wanted me to be the driver. I guess the trucks are hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
They said, but you're not just a driver, like the Jackie Mason jokes. You're not a driver. You're a producer. You're a mover. You're a shaker. They contract out with the grocery stores that you come and you take out the old supplies. You put in the new supplies, and then you manage the bookkeeping.
So sales-ish.
They said it's sales-ish. So let's say they were offering between $800 to $1,200 a week. I think these were real numbers, depending on the days and the routes. But they said that if you're aggressive and you really roll up your sleeves, you could push new items into the stores. And they made it sound like you can make a lot more of your salary based on how hard you want to do it. When the guys are loading and unloading, if you're pushy and conniving, you can make a lot more money every week. Is that real?
Is that a real? So the numbers. Can you tell us some estimate numbers?
That is not 100% true because you have to understand. You have a company. There are certain salads and type of things that move, and that's built in. It's guaranteed. Tuna and salads. We'll use salads. Tuna, hummus, tchina, a couple other things. How many new items are you introducing that are not out there already? And, based on where you are in the neighborhood you are, those items move, and they're going to move no matter what.
But I'm sorry for interrupting, but I think that's also a little bit being closed-minded, because if you would have told me growing up in the 80s and 90s and the 2000s, thousands and thousands of Shabbos meals, always having water challah and egg challah for 4 hours, that it's going to come a time in Klal Yisrael that if you don't have a $21 sourdough bread every single Shabbos under your...
Happens to be, I'm so not into that.
I'm crazy into the sourdough challah.
I'm so not.
My Shabbos meal is ruined without a $20 sourdough. It's a staple. It's more important than the steak and the gefilte fish.
Really?
I'll give up my gefilte fish any day for a $20 sourdough challah.
I can't believe it.
But no, what I'm saying is that is the idea that, I have to drive the truck, I shouldn't really be pushing because everybody wants the hummus, the tchina, and the egg salad, and I shouldn't be pushing the new frozen lasagna that they're offering, let's say, from one of these companies, I don't want to say their names. Could it be that a guy could drive a truck for the Heimische companies, there's hundreds of guys doing it, but instead of making the $80,000 a year, he could be pushing $140,000 if he had a new change of heart and change of mind on how to be a more of aggressive salesman?
Well, I think to be to get real good money in sales, especially in the food industry, the truck takes up a lot of your time, and the guys who are really doing well out in the industry are not on a truck. That's a fact.
So they were
So
trying
the
to.
hybrid model is not a great model.
Not a great model because you cannot focus, you cannot build long-term relationships. You're basically talking to the people in the stock room and the fridge guy, and you're restocking shelves. And yeah, you could push in an item. He'll say, listen, give me 5 cases. You say, oh, here's 6 cases, try this new. But to get out there and be there and to really move numbers, you have to go
Just on sales.
on sales, yes.
Yitsy, so what does a Frum truck driver can make? 60, 70?
About 70.
7. Yitsy, how does it socially feel? You go to shul, one guy's an accountant, one's a lawyer, one's a doctor, one's Kyle, whatever it is, and then you're the truck driver. Do you have a chip on your shoulder because of that? And
At the beginning, yes, but now, no. I sort of, at the beginning, realized that, when this happened and COVID came, I committed to, I will, whatever happens, happens, and I will make peace with whatever happened, because I was left basically fired. I was out, and I was very upset, and I was hurt. But then they called back like a month later, because they got the PP loans, so they wanted to take you back, but we were already done. But then they backed out from that. But I was a little hurt. But I said, I'll be honest, I had like this spiritual moment, and I don't have too many of them. But I said, God, protect me, and I promise you, I'm making peace with the world. And I want to tell you, I never wore a mask. I never got vaccinated. I never got sick. I never, ever got COVID. I'm telling you, and since that time, I just don't look at what other people are. Yes, there are people who are more successful, lawyers, doctors, but in some ways, I'm very successful. I'm doing things that other people haven't, and I'm making money. And I see the other side also, so many people who are not making money, who are paying tremendous amount of taxes on income, and they're working very hard, 80, 90 hours a week, and they're coming home after their salary and their tuition. What are they left with? So there's a certain side to it. You have to look the other way also. You have to look on the other side. Not always do you have a guy who's an accountant, he's making $80,000. He's working a lot more hours than me, especially if you're starting. They're working tax season. These guys, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Baruch Hashem, I don't have to work.
saying at least
that
you're
hard.
around food all day, so it's
And
not
I'm
so
around food. What could be bad?
But we're already on the topic, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. When you go into like a popular kosher supermarket, the huge 10-aisle kosher supermarkets, and you see millions of products. There's the sodas, there's the seltzers, there's the Yiddish companies, all their stuff.
Of course, Bubala.
How much of it are companies calling up distributors by quality and saying, just give me this, this, and that? And how much of it is reps, aggressive reps, which I respect? I'm a hustling salesman myself, coming into the stores and pushing products and getting high margins and commissions on those products. What's the ratio?
Well, it works. It works different. Depends on what. Like the standard frozen items that you see in
The Bodek frozen broccoli.
and all these have reps. It's not for a big company to have a distributor. Is also it cuts them out. So they hire their own trucks, their own people, their own sales reps who go in and aggressively push their items.
But do they say the popular items that stores are going to buy anyways, they're going to buy our frozen French fries, but if you could push some niche item, then we'll give you a higher sales commission? How does that work?
Not always. They'll say to you like this: "We're giving you guaranteed money makers, so we'll pay a lower rate of commission, and on the new items and the items we want you to push, we'll pay a higher rate of commission." For example, let's say grape juice. Grape juice is a staple in every Jewish home. So they're going to not look at it as a way to pay a high commission on grape juice, because you walk into any supermarket, whatever brand it is, there's grape juice. And that's a standard. They're not going to pay that. But if you push the new cranberry apple juice or whatever it is, that they'll pay a higher rate of commission.
Yitsy, when people ask what do you do for a living, what's your response?
What?
When someone asks what do you do for a living, what do you tell them?
Too many things. I tell them I do catering, I do consulting, and I do
Like Jackie Mason, you see?
and I do sales. I do everything.
Yitsy, did you lose any friends when you started telling people you drive a truck, or you didn't lose any friends?
I didn't lose any friends.
You didn't lose. Clappy, before you became famous and rich, and you told people you do a customer service sales on the phone job.
I'm gonna say
Did you lose or gain any more friends?
I'm gonna say it for the record. I'm gonna say it right now. When I only had a 9 to 5, which Halavai was only 9 to 5, it was a 9 to 7, 9 to 6, 10 to 7, and my only job was doing sales, electronic sales, inbound, like whatever.
No commission.
It was intimidating, and I did have a little bit of a discomfort. But I want to say something.
And when someone said, "What do you do for a living?" What did you tell them then?
I said, "I'm a salesman." I said it the way it was, but I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. But I'm looking at the audience, everybody in the world from all walks of life. There is nothing to be embarrassed of. If you get up in the morning, you put your right foot in front of your left foot, and you go out and have a job to support your family. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm so honored to have Yitsy on the show because he went from sitting on the couch in COVID, not having a job, to hustling on a truck, delivering food products, to doing many things to support his family. I think anybody that gets up in the morning and works hard has something so much to be proud of.
So I'm sorry, Srilly, Izzy, Clappy. Do you feel more comfortable now telling people, "Oh, I'm an art dealer"?
Now that I have a marketing company, I have a successful podcast, and I have many.
What's the pitch now? What do you do for them?
So I'm a salesman, and I want to say something. Everybody in the world is selling 24 hours a day. You go into the restaurant and you want the guy to reheat the pizza, and he says it's hot. You're like, "Oh, come on, throw it back in the oven." You want the extra cup of ice cubes. You know, you want your wife to go on the vacation that you want. You want your kids to go to bed on time and clean the room. We're all selling 24 hours a day, and we all have to have a better pitch and work on our sales skills.
So do you feel prouder now telling people what you do now? Art world podcast or celebrity?
Baruch Hashem, now I'm more in demand. Now I have more people seeking me for my wisdom and my specialty in fine arts and Judaica and in marketing. So I'm also, again, there's nothing to be embarrassed of.
I understand, but you said, do you feel prouder? Someone says, what do you do?
Of course I feel, when you have money in the bank and you get up in the morning, you're not checking to move from the checking to the saving, from this card to that card. It's a little bit easier. You're able to feel a little bit better about yourselves. But my point is that I want everybody to be very proud of what you do. As long as you're putting in a hard day's work and you're getting up and you're doing the hustle, I'm super proud. So I think we should get to know a little bit more about the guest. What was his upbringing?
Go for it. And I also just want to make a plug. Yitsy's Food Instagram. Check out his great food reviews. I think there's maybe 50 food reviews right now. It's Instagram.com/YitsFood. He has great reviews. Since he does drive around, one of the perks is everyone likes him. Very lovable, likable guy. So everyone gives him samples, and he gets to travel tri-state, tasting every single food that you could dream of.
I do a lot of catering, and I work for caterers. I consult to them, and I get a chance to taste a lot of unique foods, and that's something I enjoy also. It's a great perk.
It's clear, quite clear.
Quite clear. We met during COVID, remember?
Boof and Bun. You came to the gallery.
Boof and Bun.
Tell me a little bit about this consulting for caterers. I'm a caterer. I do bar mitzvah. A guy, not me. Somebody's a caterer. They do bar mitzvahs. They do chasnas. They do sheva brachas.
What could you offer?
They do paper goods. They do china. They work out of this kitchen, this hole, that hole. How could you help caterers with your background in food now?
So I help people just getting the purchasing of the items. I know the field very well. I know all the so to speak players on the market, and I help them try to get the cost down in a way that doesn't look like they got the cost down. That's what I come in. Guys, come help me out. Let's take care of it. I have to put a sweet table out there, $5,000. That's what I'm charging. Let's get it down that I can make money on it. I'm using these numbers. They're not
Yitsy,
real.
Where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Where'd you go to yeshiva?
I went to yeshiva, elementary,
Elementary?
Chazdei Torah.
High school?
High school, I went to Chazdei Torah for 2 years.
Does that place still exist?
It does not exist. I think everyone is not in this world anymore, so we're not going to speak about them anymore.
Now we can say the truth, no?
We don't want to speak of the dead, let them. And then I went to a place called Migdash Melech. That was a Sephardi place, but they
Ocean
had
Parkway?
Does it have a reputation of Chabad kids that dropped out of the system? They all ended up in Mikdash Melech. A bunch of kids in my grade.
5 Chabad kids.
Rabbi Shalom?
Rabbi Shalom, very good.
This yeshiva Mikdash Melech still exists?
No, it's long gone.
Let's be honest. What type of kid were you growing up?
I was like, I didn't know. I was naive in some way, but I was always looking to find something that was not there.
You were behaving in yeshiva?
It wasn't not behaving, but I never followed the rules. I wasn't loud about it. Like
I can relate. I can relate.
People said you have to do this. Why? I remember that they made a rule you had to clean up the room, and after school we made a mess or something, and it was in the winter and it was a Sunday, and you cannot go home until you clean the room. I sat there for 3 hours.
You didn't clean it.
I didn't clean it, but I knew the Rebbe had to go because it was Shkia, and he was a real Litvak. He had to daven mincha by Shkia. So I knew that I was going to be out no matter what, but I'm not cleaning the room. And I never, ever, he just didn't talk to me. He didn't acknowledge my existence because I broke the bubble, so to speak.
You beat him at his own game.
Yeah, so that was it. I didn't come out of my shell till much into my early 20s.
So you were quieter when you were younger?
I was quieter. I didn't make trouble like.
Because now you're pretty popular, Yitsy.
Yes, but this is
So after 2 years in this chas caterer, they kicked you out, and then you went to Mikdash Melech?
They were closing, and then I had nowhere to go. So we went there because if you didn't have a place to go, that was the only place that.
Is that the reputation till today?
I think so. There were a bunch of.
It's Syrians?
It wasn't Syrians. It was random people.
In Flatbush.
Rabbi Shalom is Syrian. Yeah.
Chabad. He was a Syrian guy. He had a partner, Rabbi Wallerstein.
Zachariah Wallerstein?
His uncle.
Is he alive?
He's still around. His uncle's still around.
So bad. Zachariah was a good guy.
So Zachariah was my substitute for his uncle for 1 week, and he took us to a Yankee game.
Yitsy, when you went to yeshiva, what was your vision of what Yitsy Shlevis is going to be? What was your...
When I was in 17, 18, I was going to be a stockbroker. That was
You were passing high school secular studies. You were getting good grades.
I was making it.
You got a high school diploma.
I got a high school diploma.
And then you finished high school Mikdash Melech at 18 years old.
At 18 years old, and then I was I didn't know what I was going to do, so I ended up in yeshiva in Muncie. And
this is post high school.
Post high school, I ended up in yeshiva in Muncie, which I did. I sat and listened to the Yankee game and Mike and the Mad Dog the whole day instead of being anything to do with
You were in the
yeshiva.
dorm instead of being in the yeshiva.
I wasn't even in the dorm. I was outside with the Radio Shack radio listening to Mike and the Mad Dog.
Your family's from Borough Park.
My family's from Flatbush.
Flatbush. You were in Muncie, sitting outside the yeshiva listening to Mike and the Mad Dog all day.
Mike and the Mad Dog
and
all day.
Where was the Rosh Yeshiva?
He would come, remind me that it's yeshivas. I would come in for a few minutes, learn a few words, walk back out.
And this went on to what age?
This went on until I went to Israel, which was a year later.
19.
I was 19. I went to Israel. I didn't know where I was going. I went to Yeshiva Medrash Shmuel. I went there. I did very well there. I learned, and I developed. I sort of came out in those 3 years there.
There was Pasha no good radio shows to listen to in Israel.
There was no good radio shows. Don't forget 9/11 happened when I was there. I had just gotten there, and all these things were happening. So the world was changing, and I met new people. I was very insulated. Being from Flatbush, everyone I knew was within a couple blocks of my house, and we went to the same shul, and we just
So you grew up
never got out.
Litvish? Litvish would be the right?
I'm Litvish,
Grew
but
up
I grew
Litvish?
up in a Hasidic shtibel.
Gotcha. Like a lot of Flatbush.
Yeah, a lot of Flatbush. In my days, it was a lot of Litvish, but I only came out. I met people from outside of my circle.
Bubble.
And outside my bubble only when I got to Israel. And that also changed a lot of how I understood life and how I understood people and helped me come out. And I met people who I would never have ever met had I not been there. People from South Africa. I didn't even know where South Africa was. If you would have
So until you went to Eretz Yisrael at 19 years old, you never traveled out of the country?
I never traveled.
So where'd you go? You got family, never went to Israel, never went to California,
I went
Florida?
when I was 17 to Israel with my grandparents for a week, and we never left the old city and the shuk.
Yitsy, as someone who grew up in Flatbush, and I grew up in Flatbush actually as well, Klap Yinat, and we're Chabad, what is the before, I grew up in a very yeshivish block, like H and 8th, like
Oh my
Mir and borderline Kensington.
I
Like
live
I
in
didn't,
Avenue H.
I didn't know about the fancy 20s and you know that.
It wasn't around back then.
The 20s?
It was just
The
starting.
teens? It was no
The
what?
teens.
The teens. I'm sorry, the 20s. What's the Chabad? What's the Chabad? I don't know. 40 years ago versus the Litvish view of Chabad 40 years ago versus Litvish Chabad view today. Has it changed? Has it not changed? What didn't change?
Let's be real. When you were growing up in Borough Park in this Chazdei Torah, Flatbush, Chazdei Torah, what was the opinion of Chabad and the Rebbe?
Chabad? It was treif.
Wow. You never came for dollars?
Never. It was unheard of. You see a Chabad guy, a Chabadsker. That was the...
They let them speak in your shul in Talucha when you were growing up?
Never. Never.
So
It's a completely different world now.
So what happened?
First of all, people started to use Chabad because they were traveling. And you were going to the middle of nowhere. And what can you get in the middle of nowhere? People started to have more money. They started to travel, going to Florida, going to all these places. Chabad was much more pronounced in Florida than it was in Flatbush, where I grew up. In my Daled Amos, there was no Chabad.
Quite a few Chabad rabbis now in Flatbush.
Now it's like really there's a bunch of them. You know, in my neighborhood alone, I live in the 30s. There's 2 Chabad rabbis, and then there's Rabbi Vigler has a shul. And there's, I think Rabbi Rokeach is a little bit on the, borderline Chabad. His wife is. I know she is.
Drizzen? Where did Drizzen become the rabbi?
in Avenue T. No, for me personally, growing up Chabad in a very yeshivish block, when they grew up with them, they sort of knew I was normal. But then suddenly they got old, like, oh, my Rebbe said Chabad's this, Chabad's that. What about this? What about that? I was heavily questioned and analyzed because it's hard to not like someone that you know too well. It's easy, like that Chabad guy, and that, But when you know the guy and you play basketball on the block, you can't. It gets very confusing for the kids at my age growing up in Flatbush. But I knew there was this unspoken animosity. I don't know what it is. You're crazy. You're weird. You're out of the box. This is pre-Meshachist era. You know what I'm saying?
So I would say that when I grew up, how I understood it is that this is a very when I asked the Rebbe years ago, I got to be, maybe I was 8, 9 years old, they told me they take these boys who are great minds and they take them away from yeshiva and they send them to do tefillin in middle of Times Square. That was the line that I got. And that was, I think it was in the subconscious of people, they saw that as an issue. I don't know if that mindset exists today as it did then.
And then what about the Meshachist, the Mashiach? How did that play a role today? I mean, because it's,
Today it's something that I remember. First of all, I remember when the Rebbe was nifter. I was there. I remember the funeral. I remember...
You went?
See, I did not go. My father went.
And your father never went to the Rebbe before that?
No, but he felt that he was. My father never spoke about him, but my father, I think, felt that he was a special person. As my father once told me years ago, the man never took a vacation. Every Rebbe travels to wherever, Switzerland,
Palm Springs, they fly private.
Private jet. The man never took a vacation. The guy left Brooklyn. Besides going to the cemetery to his father-in-law, he left Brooklyn, I think, 3 times in 50 years. He was there every day. And my father said, man, dedication can't be beat.
Chabad today.
That's what my father said to me when 1994. That's what he told me. Can't man, because every other leader takes a week off to go to, you said Palm Springs, private jets.
It's a lot longer than 1 week.
I would say 6 weeks, but you're being, okay, we'll give them a week in the Palm Springs with the private jet, or Florida, or, it's cold, a break, slow time. Visit you. The man. That was my father's message to me.
There was a video going around last summer. This like 70-year-old guy in Borough Park in a hot August day. It's like 108 degrees, schwitzing, putting his stuff into the bicycle wagon. There's like a wagon in front of his bike. He said all the Rebbes are going to come back from Eretz Yisrael and Schweizerland and from the mountains, and they're going to say, hello, and they're going to validate us. They're going to give us schmecks. Us suffering a whole summer in Brooklyn. They're going to give us about doing tshuva soon. He says, you guys are on vacation having a good time. Be nice to us. Be nice to us.
So you'd see current today Litvish, let's say Lakewood, what percent is still does not love the Chabad? What's your guesstimate? Because I know.
First of all, this is an opinion that's held by people who are much older and were around.
You're saying the animosity.
The animosity dies because these are political issues and arguments that are going back into the 60s and the 50s. And how many people really understand them? I don't even understand a lot of it. I understand a little bit of it, with Reb Shach and all that. Those arguments I understand a little bit. But this is going back to the 1970s, 50 years ago. Today, Chabad is so intertwined in our culture. First of all, if a guy lives in Flatbush, the first place he's going is, where am I going to a restaurant? I'm going to Crown Heights. And it became also, I think, there's a lot of people have told me they've gone to the oil and seen tremendous schoolers. My wife, during a lot of times, has always asked to go. I've gone Motzei Shabbos many times, and every time I go on Motzei Shabbos, sometimes 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm always shocked to see. Sometimes I could see 50, 80 people but not just 80 people okay, I was expecting 20 Chabadskers and 20 not religious, right? I'm talking about Hasidim. I'm talking about, I've seen yeshivish. I've seen completely secular, completely not religious. And I've seen very frum people, and I've seen a very wide gamut. So people have come, they've found connection to it. And I personally have enjoyed Chabad's hospitality in many places, and I've never had a anti-Chabad feeling. I didn't grow up on it. My parents never spoke about it. As I said, the message that resonated to me was in 1994 was a man never took a vacation in 50 years. Imagine every single day, it was there. You wanted to see him, you knew where to find him. You made an appointment, and man never took a day off.
It's very interesting. There's a very wealthy guy from the Midwest. I'm going to say his name. In his town, he's officially anti-Chabad. When he goes to his villa in the Caribbean, the Chabad rabbi is the official vacation planner, gets him a minyan, everything.
Okay.
And this same guy, this Litvish, wealthy, well-known on every board on the planet, when he comes to the Caribbean, he's fully serviced, not by his fundraising koil or whatever, Rosh Hashiva, fundraiser, but it's fully serviced. It's just very funny. So I think in general, I always see that people on vacation are more open, and it's two different things. And, and it's interesting to see people open up their minds. Do you think people like Y.Y. Jacobson, Shalom Rabashkin, Chase Taub, do you think they help bridge the gap between Chabad and even these singers like Abba Fried, Benny Frieden, and Eli Marcus normalize Chabad to some degree with social media?
Did they make Chabad cool?
They not make Chabad cool, but they've bridged the gap. One thing about a lot of these speakers is they know how to connect non-Chabad Svarim. They always bring it up. It's like they go many different. He's very diverse.
They make it entertaining?
Why?
YY is very entertaining. I personally like his brother. I think he has...
Simon or Baruch?
Simon. He has very deep content and I enjoy him. He's very good, but he's completely different style than YY. He's very different. I don't think he opens every story with 10 jokes about the Satmar Chassid and this and that and all that. But he does. He always has the joke, what does YY always have a joke? He always has a good joke about about the old Jew and the shul, and all these things that people can relate to, and it brings down, it connects people.
I just want to focus as someone who grew up in Flatbush, seeing how the big gap of Chabad and especially Litvaks. Chassidus was, you'd see in Aram, you always had Chassidus, Rebelach, Shivas, but Litvaks and Chabad was like the most, not Orthodox, whatever. The Litvaks Chabad, and I would say the person that made the gap the most, who made impact, who was validated, so to say, was Y.Y. Jacobson, Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson. Just like, the fundraiser, I think, Intel's in Cleveland brought him as a speaker. The Aguda convention of CMS Shas.
I think he was in that Aguda convention.
Yeah. So, and he had a prestigious position. Like, that's how much it came. So I really see YY as, as the biggest person that was able to go across the aisle or normalize Chabad. What do you think about that?
There is something to that. I think Y.Y. Jacobson has a unique ability because he brings many other svarim. He always quotes the Sfas Emes. He quotes other svarim.
Quotes Chabad svarim still?
Yeah. He quotes, but he knows how. He also, I think, he's very aware of which audience he speaks to and how to speak to them, and that's a talent within itself.
Speaking of people who bridge the gaps, I've never seen someone like Louis Shiner, besides his financial success, bring all these different. You go to his shul, and he has a Chabad rabbi.
Shiner.
Shiner shul.
Forshay Road.
He's such a crazy mix of people. I mean, I think it obviously comes from his influence, but his neshama is just so open, and he brings so many different people, Rabbi, so many different walks of life, and he normalizes everything.
Well, I think he's bringing the message that we're all one nation. We're being persecuted, and the anti-Semitism. No one says, "Oh, he's Chabad and he's Satmar. We'll leave him alone, and we'll leave the bells. The guy will only attack the Litvak." It doesn't work like that. And I think we see it in that time period, in our time period right now, that makes a unity together, and I think that helps. I also, the concept of minion factories is not a Litvish thing. It is completely Hasidish. And the fact that you go to a place that you could grab a mincha, grab a ma'ariv at any time, has changed the Litvish perspective. Used to be you had a shul, the davening was 6:15, mincha was whatever time, 15 minutes before Shkia. There was a ma'ariv at 8:15, and the Gemara share from the rabbi. That was it. Today, we've become a culture. We're always on the go. People are running, and you depend on having a minyan in a place. And to find a minyan, if in Monsey, I think you go into Shiner Shul, it's unbelievable what he's done, the schusim that he has. But the fact is that you could get a minyan at any time of day. I'm talking about you could daven Shachris, 15 minutes later go into the next tent mincha, and probably if you wait an hour, you could hit the plot ma'ariv.
Very nice. I want to use you as the litmus test. How affected or how personally affected did you feel when Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
I felt very like I couldn't believe it. When I heard about it, I didn't believe it. I thought it was like a little bit of a scam.
But when you realized that Charlie's not with us, it's Nishmat
he's not with us. He was a very, very good speaker about Israel. He was a messenger. And the fact that he had the courage to go to these places is an unbelievable thing.
Chabad Shliach stood on campus with the table.
They go on campus.
He had a table on campus. Yeah. You think he's Chabad?
He must be.
Hey everybody, we want to welcome a new corporate sponsor to the Clappy and Frank Show. My good friend, Yisrael Friend, a friend of all of us, has an amazing armed guard security company. These are not guys that stand around eating and drinking and smoking. These are top trained professional armed guards to do all your corporate events, your shuls, yeshivas, moistus. He services all New York, Long Island. He has tons of happy clients I interviewed. Call my friend, Yisrael Friend, at 347-939-9284. We're going to link his page with all the information. Great rates. Yom Tov is coming up. Shuls, services, corporate events. You want top security at your events? Yisrael Friend is your friend.
I want to say a few stories that I still see today where the Litvish Chabad, as close as it came in validation and recognition. I just want to say a few things. I recently went on vacation. I went somewhere, and the Chabad rabbi told me this particular city, it's like a very yeshiva there. He told me he will not give a aliyah to any Chabad guy unless it's me, because he knows me. You know, he knows I'm not a caterers, so he lets me. He says other Chabad guy will never ever get Aliyah. Second story. This happened mamash this summer. Second thing, I was once at an art show in a hotel, and Benny Friedman was there, and Benny's like, by the way, Moshe, you're not in friendly territory. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, Friday night, the caterer put out some Chabad Hechsher wine, and the Rosh Hashiva ordered all the wine to be removed from the tables. Completely.
Some Rosh Hashivas, some Rosh Hashivas, you know.
So I know
I want to say something about Kashrus.
And if you could, as much as things got a lot better, I know these two are two recent stories that are very real.
I'm going to say this about Kashrus, that without Chabad Shluchim in far-flung countries, the products that are available to the Jewish population would not be in the market.
So if the Rosh Hashiva knew all the stuff he had, there were...
No one knows because no one understands it. But if you ask anybody in the OU, they'll tell you that the people who are the Yotze v'Nichnas in all these factories are 90% of them, and a lot of people who are out of town, who are shluchim out of town, a lot of their parnasa comes from being a mashkiach in factories that no one would ever go to. We're talking about going to Thailand and all these places.
And during COVID, China was closed.
We're not talking about products. And when China was closed during COVID, the shluchim were the only people who were in there, going in there to turn on the ovens or change the temperatures or run the clean cycle in these factories. Who was doing that?
We still got stuck in 2001. You were in Eretz Yisrael, and 9/11 happened.
We're going back.
And you felt safer being in Eretz Yisrael.
You want to talk about the Litvaks Chabad thing? It's not so interesting for you.
It's not interesting or not interesting. I thought that boat sailed a while ago. It didn't come up.
So
in a
that's
while.
why. Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because of recent developments.
Because one guy was a hater, so he wanted to.
No, so
probably didn't like the taste of that wine. It was a schwache bottle.
There's always going to be one or two out there. That's a fact.
What do you think about what do Litvish people think about the Chabad people who sing Yitsy and the Rebbe's? You know, all those that topic. How do they feel about that? That's always
been a sore subject. That will never ever. That's never going to die. And I think
it's never going to die,
right? That's always a sore subject, and the ones who go out there and are out there, and all the singers are all Chabad, you'll never hear that song in any wedding. It's not good for business. It's not good for time. It's not good for anything. It's controversial. It's always going to be a sore subject. But I think the bridge is getting
I'm sorry
closer.
we're throwing these in, but you're the first Litvak in our show, so we're just,
You're taking one for the team.
I'm taking.
And you're not a rabbi, so you could see.
I'm not a rabbi. I can get away with anything.
Did people mention it to you? Did you have guilt that we all took Charlie Kirk's death so to heart? And people were saying that 2 days before 6 people were killed in the Jerusalem bus junction, and there wasn't such a big outcry like we had for Charlie. Like everybody's been Shalom Shuddus in every single shul they were talking about it. Why were we all going so wild and so depressed that Charlie was killed? But 48 hours before, 6 Yidden were killed in a terrorist attack in Jerusalem, and it didn't get enough media attention, or we weren't so tzahitzt about it. And there were so many different opinions about it. I'm wondering what was the opinion, and what do you feel, and what?
I felt that the minute Israel attacked Qatar and tried to take out those terrorists, like we forgot about those 6 people. I literally, when I heard the story of the 6 people, I was in tears when I woke up in the morning. I couldn't believe it because I know exactly where that place is. I was watching on camera. I know exactly, the videos of it. There was this video with the guy in the taxi who was helping the old woman.
Yeah.
And a bullet went right over his head. You saw that video?
Heard about it.
It was like, I was like shaken by it. I think we live in a society that we're so, they say in Yiddish, what's good by the guy eventually gets into the Jewish culture. So the media took it so hard, especially the right wing, and a lot of the Frum people are very dependent on all the podcasts from the right on the right side. I don't know a guy in my shul who's not listening to Charlie
Shapiro.
Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and what's the woman? I forgot her name.
Was she the blonde one? What's
The
her
blonde.
name?
Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly. You know, I don't think anybody
Used to be Candace.
Yeah. Tucker also, but my cousin every night Tucker was
another,
beautiful.
like Trump would say, another beauty.
Another beauty. So we're so integrated by him, and he was so out there, and he always spoke about Israel. We have this connection to him, and the fact is that he was killed. He's young, 31 years old. He has a family.
Young wife
it's
and
a
kids.
Very big. It's a very big tragedy. He was for giving his opinion on something that most people agree with him, especially in the Orthodox community. Most people agreed with him and sided with him. They felt it was a big blow. So that's why I think it just we also terrorist attack in Israel. It's unfortunately
It's almost like you're immune to it.
we're a little bit immune to it. It's been going around since October 7th. When October 7th happened,
October 7th, when I was a kid in the 93, 94, they were blowing up buses. I mean, what?
when I first got to Israel, I was there when Sabaros happened. I was a few blocks away, and I had just got to
bombing.
Israel, and I fell to the floor. I was 6 blocks away. I was on King George Street and Rehov Ben Maimon, not Ben Maimon, Ben Yehuda.
What were you doing there?
I was going to get food. What else? and that's, let's say, 2 blocks away. And I was.
Were you consulting about food then?
No, I was just looking for food. I had my measly,
To be a consultant-
$20.
To be a
trying
consultant, you have to first taste all the goods.
Yeah, so I had to learn about. Also, when I got to Israel,
Let me ask you a question. It says in the Chumash that when you're working with food, you're allowed to eat the food. It says you're not allowed to tell the workers or whatever.
By picking fruit, right?
Yeah, picking fruit.
Picking fruit.
When you deliver the food all day, do you taste?
I never taste the food that I'm delivering. I'm always looking, or I'm dealing with any
So what
food
do you-
that
what
I'm
do you-
involved in. I'm always looking for what's by the other guy.
So you do trades.
So you're delivering a few hundred apple strudels and a few eclairs.
So during COVID-
no eclair
No
ever goes
eclairs.
missing.
No eclairs.
You could say under oath, no eclair ever went missing.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
And you're in Israel?
I'm always looking for the new item and what's doing by someone else. I've never my own. I know
Schera.
already. I'm looking for new items. I'll go into a caterer. I'll sit down with them. They telling me I just came up with this new idea. Oh, let me taste it. I always like to see something new, something different. I'm willing to try almost anything. Some things are, not my taste.
You eat pacha?
I have every Shabbos.
One thing I tasted every single kosher food in the world. That's one thing I never had the guts to
Developed
taste.
a taste for.
I was in a
Delicious.
customer's house last Thursday night. He asked me if I want to taste pacha. I gagged. I wanted to throw up. Just
Delicious.
on hearing the word pacha.
Delicious.
Whoa.
I have a neighbor who calls me up when his father-in-law makes it. We could knock out a whole tin pan.
Ad kedei kach. So after Eretz Yisrael and yeshiva there, 9/11, then
So I was there. Again, after Israel, I came back here to America. I worked a couple of odd jobs.
it used to be a store odd job.
What?
Remember odd job?
Yeah.
What happened? It was Amazing Savings Cousins. What was it?
Yeah, Amazing Savings.
so
There's
you-
also Gene Sons. Remember Gene?
Gene
Sons?
Sons.
the U-Trick.
Gene Sons.
U-Trick.
The best
The
toys.
U-Trick.
That's where I got my school supplies.
That's where I got Mechanica gifts. I remember such good memories. Upstairs, they had a Game Boy display. You were
So
able to
buy
get
Torah
games.
cards. You remember Torah cards?
Torah cards,
I was
yeah.
obsessed.
Shampoo for camp. It was a big thing there.
Gene Sons.
Gene Sons. Wow.
That's where we used to get the luggage and all that kind of
Got
stuff.
my sister's dollhouse when she turned 5. It was a big thing, Gene Sons.
Gene Sons. But after when I got back from Israel, I was here in America for about 2 or 3 years. I worked a bunch of odd jobs. I tried yeshiva in the morning. I did some college courses. I didn't have what I wanted to do at the time. And then people were pressuring me, so I took a job and I was miserable there.
Doing what?
I worked in an electronic company. I worked there in an electronics store on the Lower East Side. Remember the Lower East Side?
My grandfather had a huge store on the Lower East Side. An Allen and Broom.
So I was on Essex and I think Hester.
Could be.
Okay, if I remember, it's a long time ago. Remember that there was a pickle guy. I was eating
Gus?
Gus, yeah. I was getting pickles. I became friendly with him and I bought him coffee. I used to get unlimited pickles. For $1 coffee, you could get unlimited pickles.
Oh, a
I used to
business.
bring him a coffee in the morning. I used to get myself a coffee. I used to bring him a coffee.
So you're always around food, Yitsy.
Yes, I
It's an
grew up
electronic
around
store
it.
in the Lower East Side, and then
And then once I was there for a while, I happened to have left because I just had enough. And I was looking for something. I started to help a friend of mine who had a jewelry company, and we were making some deals. And I
deals
was
on 47th Street.
No, we were selling watches.
What type of watches?
So that was he was selling high-end watches.
Rolex, Patek Philippe's,
No, not that high. A little bit lower.
Movado,
No,
Raymond Whale.
no, Baume & Mercier,
Balmacier is good.
Cartier,
Yeah, oh, that's good.
and Longines.
Oh,
He
cool.
had a deal on them. He could get he would get a built-in, I think, a commission was if we would push these items to chassanim that were getting married. So I was in yeshiva like half a day, and I would push all the chassanim to go to the guy. And every time I would get a commission off the guy who pushed for these watches. And he had some sort of deal with that and Ebel. I don't know.
Ebel, yeah.
Ebel. That was the companies he was pushing. So I was doing that, and then I went on vacation to Israel, and I said, you know what, I'm going to sit and learn for a month, and I'm going to take it easy. I was dating, I stopped, and then randomly eating by a friend of mine for Shabbos, and they said, oh, I have this girl, she's American-Israeli, but she's from America. She get married to her. And I said, you're crazy, leave me alone. And I said, I'm retired and I'm content with where I am right now. And he pushed and pushed and pushed, and Baruch Hashem, we got engaged. And
How old were you when you got engaged?
I was 25. 25, yeah. And she thought I was 22, and she was like 19. So it was like we
stole
both
from
did.
the
We
cradle?
knew
What's the expression?
we knew nothing about each other, and
now you do.
now Baruch Hashem.
And you got married in Brooklyn, and
I got married in Eretz Yisrael.
then you were there for a while, or
I was there for a little bit, and then we came back. We moved there.
Yitsy, do you want your kid to drive a truck or no?
No,
What do you want him to do?
I wanted to do something that's productive.
Driving a truck is not productive?
I'm not saying that. I want him to.
What's your dream? Your dream vision for your kids?
I want my children I have 4 children, Kanai, and I want them all to do something that'll bring good things to the Jewish people. Whatever it is.
A truck driver can't bring good?
I'm not saying that, but I think my children are not that they could do better, but I think they not do better. I think they're. I don't know if one of my sons is for sure not cut out for driving a truck, and the other one, I think he's a little too lazy. He likes to sleep in. And one thing about all these things, catering, you have to and truck. And all these things, you have to be up early. You have to be constantly
you're on the go.
On the go, and the generation today, they're on their phones all the time. And when you deal with a lot of these people, you have to be very personalized and hands-on. You have to be able to answer calls. You have to be able to talk on the phone, and you have to be able to even use old-fashioned chas v'shalom pen and paper to write down things. And not set reminders on phones, and actually be organized. And so that takes work. You never know. Maybe in the future they would go to it. You never know. One of
Also,
them's trying to get a license. We'll see.
Hashem.
Yitsy, what's the current status relation between Hasidim, non-Chabad, and Litvish world? Where does it stand now? There's respect, no respect, they love, hate. What's that dynamic right now?
Well, I think Hasidim.
And I would say Litvish to Hasidus. Hasidim, they don't,
Hasidim have
No,
taken.
Litvish to Hasidus. What's their perspective? Like, I know all the Hasidim moving into Lakewood. How do the
Hasidim
Litvish people feel about that?
You know what?
And what do they feel about them in general?
In general, there used to be a very big separation, and I think now, first of all, Hasidim in general, they all work. It's a misnomer to say that, oh, they don't work, they just sit, that's for the New York Times. But, or MSNBC,
Fake news.
scholars,
All the fake news.
It's not true. Most of them are out working, and we in business and 90% of the industries, Hasidim are involved. So our relationship has grown as two. There's no like separate camp. Everyone's doing
No,
business.
what was
or
it before
talking.
and what is it now? That's my question.
It was the Litvish community was a small community, and the Hasidim were always separate. But now, in today's world, especially, I'll give you an example. If you have a kid who needs special ed and things like that, the Hasidim have made it possible for you to get all these services taken care of from start to finish. The Ezra Medical Center, all these things that are done, Hasidim have done it. They've worked the system better than anybody else.
Fantastic.
And
Compliments to Yeld V'Yeld on all these organizations. They're doing a great job.
They do a fantastic job. We're talking about you need a kid who needs speech, a child from a small age. You call up one of these agencies. They take care of all the paperwork for you. You don't have to know nothing. Somebody shows up. They write the reports. And the Hasidim are running these organizations. They know how to bill it.
They're great. They're great.
They're great at it. And that has integrated them in general, into society. And also, when Hasidim come, they don't just come with 20 families and they pop in. They move in 200 families, a grocery store that's cheaper than whatever grocery store that you had before, a takeout food store, at least 3 restaurants and 2 pizza stores.
But Mir Yeshiva always had Chassidim, or recently more and more and more? Because don't the Chassidim have this chip on their shoulder that they really want to learn, they have to go to Litvish Yeshiva, and therefore Mir has a lot of
there's
Chassidim?
always that chip, because there's a different derech and limud by the Litvish, the brisker derech, that's always going to be by the Litvish. And Chassidus Bachrim more and more are going towards that. And when I was in Eretz Yisrael, there were Chassidus Bachrim in Mir. There's always been Chassidus Bachrim in Mir. There's going to be Chassidus Bachrim by Brisk. Also, Hasidim, still Litvish yeshivas are the only ones that speak Yiddish. They give shir in Yiddish, and that allows a chassid to come in and acclimate to the yeshiva.
Yitsy, what's the current status with Syrians in Flatbush, and what's their interaction with the general Frum world?
Well, it's a funny thing about Syrians
They
because
they still stick to themselves.
they
a lot.
still stick to themselves, but they're Rabbanim.
They think they're better. They think they're better.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they're very, like, if you're a Syrian and you need to buy something, you'll only shop at a Syrian store.
2 of my cousins, Slobovich, married Syrians.
Not real Syrians.
Top
Not real.
families.
Real
Top SY, the real deal.
No,
They
can't
allow
be.
The real deal. No.
They allowed it.
They let the intermarriage. They were very nice to us at the wedding, at all the simchas. Deal serious people. Yeah.
It's funny. 30 years ago, when I was a kid, you never ever saw a Frum yeshiva Syrian. Now there's communities all over, and Lakewood is Frum Syrians. A lot of them go to Ashkenaz yeshivas, and a lot of them at one point.
Hold on 1 second. The Hasidim, if they want to really know how to learn, they have to go to the Litvish, and if the Syrians want to know how to learn, they have to go to the Yeshivish.
Yeah, same thing.
It's like there's like
No, it was Syrians.
Syrians don't have big Rabbi Mansuri. There's big Abadi Yosef was not like Syrian, Moroccan, Egyptian. What was
Egyptian?
He? Egyptian,
I think.
Syrian, different thing. Uh-huh.
But then more and more, they have their own Rosh Hashivas.
By the way, but most of the Rabbanim that are the Syrian Rabbanim today, the people who are the respected members of the community, are all not educated. Only it's now that Ateret and all these schools are starting to grow. But at one point, it was very small. And if
big Rosh Yeshivas coming out of Yeshiva Flatbush?
No, you mean Ateret.
Ateret.
Yeshiva Flatbush is
Yeshiva Flatbush
the least Haredi.
Is the least Haredi.
Modern Orthodox.
But if you were from
style.
and you were a Syrian, you wanted to be more on the right side, you sent to Ashkenaz yeshivas. In my daughter's class, she goes to regular Beis Yaakov in Flatbush. We have 3-4 Syrian girls there.
They end up marrying Syrian, or they'll marry out?
Some will marry out, some will marry Syrian. But when I was a kid, there were at least 2 of the Syrian rabbi's sons were in Chaim Berlin. They were in my grade. I was playing ball with them. And what's his name? Rabbi Haber was a big Sephardi rabbi. He learned in Staten Island.
What's the current status of Litvish people, Flatbush versus Lakewood? Is everyone moving to Lakewood? Are people staying? People going? Marine Park? What's the deal?
Well, Flatbush is definitely slowed down. The schools are having a hard time. Some of them are not fielding. They used to have 2 classes. They shrink down to 1 class.
Wow, they're downsizing.
Yeah, Mir Yeshiva went down from first grade. I think it's only 1 class. For years, it was 2 tracks. So there is things. There are schools who are doing very well, and are still doing well.
Tervadas is doing well.
Tervadas is doing well. I think the Cheder is doing well, and that's what I hear. I hear
Chaim Berlin is packed. No,
Chaim Berlin, they feed their own. They encourage their
It's like
Kollel people.
Chabad. They have their own little club. I'm
Yeah.
just going to call it club.
Oh, their Rosh Yeshiva's a Sephardi.
Half. Now, quarter. He's half. He's the
yeah.
son.
Halwa.
Aliboy,
yeah.
Moroccan.
It's a huge deal. But he's half because his mother is not Sephardi.
His mother's not.
Right.
But I'm saying like the thing is Lakewood you get first of all you get much more bang for your buck, as they say.
Are your
Getting a
neighbors all
house.
following? Are your neighbors in Flatbush all following their kids in Lakewood, or like a typical family in Flatbush now? What percent of the kids are moving to Lakewood? What percent are staying in Brooklyn? And what percent of the parents following their kids to Lakewood?
Well, there's a
You
lot.
understand those 3 questions?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. The young couples are all moving to Lakewood. That's clear. You get a.
When we say Lakewood, we mean like Jackson, Tom's
Yeah,
River.
the whole scene.
It's all Lakewood. Don't. It's all Lakewood. Your Cranites is Brooklyn, so Lakewood's Lakewood. It's a neighborhood. The difference between Tom's River and Lakewood is like you cross the street, you're in Tom's River. It's not and you cannot exist just being in the bubble in Jackson or whatever. You have to go into Lakewood. Your kids go to school in Lakewood. It's all one big
I'm sorry.
area.
You mentioned Lakewood. We said like stories of Chabad. The Chabad in Tom's River. There's a guy who asked.
Garari?
Yeah, there's a guy who davens there. I heard this recently. Who asked his Rosh Yeshiva, is he allowed to daven in the Chabad in Tom's River? He says, you're allowed to daven there, but when it comes to the drasha, you have to walk out. So this guy, I asked Garari, why don't you throw the guy out? He comes, he's like, oh. Because he thought like the community's going to grow quicker in that area, so he didn't realize he's going to have to rely on Chabad. He asked the Rosh Yeshiva, you could daven there. It's mutter, but you have to leave for the drasha. Anyway.
Happens to be that guy's a big Talmud Chacham.
Oh, you know what I'm talking?
Yeah, he's missing out on a good time. No.
Oh, you remember Garari's
Garari's a big
yeah.
Talmud Chacham. He's missing out on a good schmooze.
I thought you were going to say that he left to the drasha to go to the Kiddush club.
No, this guy's like a
That's what I
diehard.
thought.
Because I know a guy who's
Because that's
davens.
where I would be during the drasha.
I'm sorry, back to because I grew up in Flatbush for 28 years. So for me, the whole drama and the trauma of Litvish Chabad is like very real to me.
There
if
was
you ask a Chabad guy,
trauma.
besides now Klappy does Kisva Yad, so he knows he's became world renowned, well versed in all the Gedalim. Ask any kid in Chabad who's a Rosh Yeshiva in Lakewood, he was like, he won't know. He might know what Lakewood. He might not know what Lakewood is.
I always knew
and he
this.
for sure doesn't know what Rosh Yeshiva is.
I always knew this. The
You always
caterers, I
knew?
always knew.
Oh, you
Yeah.
okay, but most guys-
My father went to Mir Yeshiva.
Klappy, most guys in Granites know who the Rosh Yeshiva is.
I had to tell them about all the stuff going on. up
Yes
there.
or no?
I had to tell them.
So then none of them know. Clueless.
Coolest.
So back to Lakewood. What percent is moving to Lakewood? And what percent are following their kids? And what percent are people staying? And if they're the ones who are leaving, who's are buying the houses? Are the Syrians buying it? Or are other Litvish people buying it?
Well, if you put a house for sale in our neighborhood, I
The
think
20s.
you're gonna get the 20s and 30s. You're either gonna get a Syrian or a Chaim Berliner to buy it. You're not getting a regular guy. First of all, for the money that you want, you could get a much better quality or more property. You could get a pool for the same money in Lakewood, and let me tell you, you go to some of these houses in Lakewood, you can't believe what you're seeing. It's like not normal.
It's a real house.
No, I'm talking about massive, acre and a half.
It's an estate.
pool.
It's an estate.
The guy
Have you been to Lakewood?
and
A little here and there, not enough.
When's the
And
last
they-
time you were in Lakewood?
I went to the Fish Grill on a wedding
How
a
long
few
ago?
months ago, but I didn't go to somebody's house.
Okay.
But my father had me
So you
drop.
never been to a house in Lakewood?
No.
Hold on. You never been
I didn't
to-
go inside.
Did
but
you
it was
ever go into a
ma-
house in Lakewood?
I don't know, but I
That's
went
a
to drop
no.
off a
Okay,
package
continue.
at a mega man. I went to drop a package at a mega mansion
They
there.
didn't let you in?
No, the guy wasn't there. Left it on the doorknob.
Okay, so it's like my point. Chabad people, Even Clapp, he's very worldly. He's world renowned. He's soon going to be the voice for Lakewood News, and he's never been into a house in Lakewood. Anyway, continue. The irony.
I was 2 nights ago. I was in Lakewood for a bar mitzvah. My cousin made a bar mitzvah, and I happened to be next door to the new Takana Hall in Lakewood. And I walked in there, and I was blown away how beautiful it is. People can make a chasana. I know so many people are not making chasanas in Brooklyn. Are making chasanas in Lakewood. $15,000-$20,000 for a wedding. It ends up $8,000-$9,000 each side. It's unbelievable. But we're talking about the nicest room you've
Is it a
seen.
race to the bottom? You're in the catering industry, and we're talking about the kind of weddings, and the weddings are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I feel like we're going to have a drive-by wedding soon. $207.
COVID style.
It's $207 a bulka, a
Listen, there's
gefilte
always
fish,
going to
and a
be
chicken nugget.
There's always going to be high-end weddings. Just by the fact that you have somebody who has a lot of money and they're going to make a wedding because they want to tell everybody that they have a lot of money, or they want to make a wedding just because they want to make a party. And the Syrians always make high-end weddings. It's part of their culture. They believe in it, and a lot of people have. Also by the yeshivas, they have bigger families, and they're making 8 weddings versus a guy who has 3 kids and lives in Englewood. He's making 3 weddings. So
Right.
This is the.
Yitsy, is there still pressure to do kail in the Litvish world? What's it like today? Is it like 10, 20 years ago? Has it changed now? Are you looked down upon if you're not learning? What's the current social waves and pushes?
I think nowadays,
Because the Chabad shluchus was
the
like...
culture is that most young couples who went to yeshiva, even if they're in college or that, they're expected at least the first year to be in kollel. That they believe that it cements the relationship. It's like looked at about that. Oh, he went to work right away. He didn't,
But the 5 years, 10 years is a thing? How
5,
strong?
10 years is still a thing, but it's on a more yeshivish crowd, and they're still doing it. And their goal is to get into chinuch and get into what they call klei kodesh. Not necessarily, they're not going to. Obviously, some go into business, but there is that pressure. A guy says it's expected a year, maybe 2, with usually. Even if he's going to school, he's studying to be something. He's studying to do this, studying to be an accountant. It's expected that they're doing it. Plus, they've streamlined these programs. PCS, Aguda has streamlined that you could get a degree in a year and a half, a year and 6 months, something like that, with all your yeshiva credits. And they streamlined that into getting people, and they get people jobs, high quality jobs.
Is he wealthy Litvish people? What are they usually looking for? A shidduch? Talmud Chacham or another rich family?
Depends how wealthy you are.
Explain.
If you're very wealthy, you want to marry someone who else who's very wealthy.
So you don't care about the Talmud Chacham thing. It's not a thing.
It depends on the crowd, because you could have a very yeshivish crowd, and they want their son.
What's considered the prize son-in-law? A Talmud Chacham or another rich family to go on the Pesach hotel together with?
Depends on the crowd. There's so many different crowds. I think in Lakewood, the very hardcore yeshivish crowd, they want a son-in-law as a Talmud Chacham. And if he has a couple of dollars, that's a great plus, but it's not the most important thing.
But a typical floppish, I don't know, Torah Tamima, Torah Vadas family, what are they going for? What's the prize for a wealthy family? What else? What do they want to bring in? A Talmud Chacham or another rich family?
I think they want both, and if it's not, you can't have. You should be able to find both.
Both. But if not, what's the priority?
Both,
Both.
of course.
Talmud Chacham and wealthy.
That's the top. You want the top.
Torah Gdul b'makam echad.
One more thing. We'll see how this goes. What percent of the shuls in Flatbush are Chasidische Stiblach Reblach, percent-wise, versus Litvische Rabbanim versus Chasidische Rebbes?
Most of the shuls in the neighborhood are Rebelach,
Chasidus Rebelach.
Stiblach.
Like 80%?
I don't know about
My
80,
grandfather,
but 70 for sure.
And how did that come to be if it's a Litvish neighborhood?
Well, how many shuls can you have in Borough Park? They all have children. What are they going to do? They got to get into the
My grandfather
field.
lived on East 15th, and he davened by Teitelbaum, which is a Satmar family, or some like
Teitelbaum
East 12th or something. East 12th,
East 13th.
East 13th. I never understood it. It's a floppish crowd.
He used to be in Crown Heights years ago. He had a shtibel on Sterling Street. I knew him. I knew the old Rabbi Teitelbaum.
So he went from Crown Heights to Flatbush.
Well, Crown Heights was a Hasidic neighborhood in the 60s and 70s. Right? Bobiv was there.
Everybody was there at one point, yeah.
At one point, Bobiv was there, Novominsk was there, all these guys.
See, who's doing this Kiruv Kolos? Which part of the Litvish world are opening Kolos in St. Louis and Denver? Which part of that world has a little Chabad?
That
Chabad?
was an exclusively Chavetz Chaim thing.
Okay.
But I think now the community kollel is, it's a way of getting people who are in yeshiva who need to get paid and have salaries. I think Lakewood caught on, and all these yeshivas and communities caught on. It helps grow a community, bringing in 10 young families who will stay there. A lot of times they have rules like, we're bringing you in, we're paying you, we're giving you helping you buy a house on the condition you're going to be here for 5-10 years. And that helps grow a community. One of the easiest ways to grow a community, especially out of town, is to open a kollel. That's easily 10, 15 families.
Because for us Chabad people, that's our main competitors in the Kiruv world. So they plop down with 10.
I had a brother-in-law who lived in Cincinnati, and I've been to Cincinnati. And Cincinnati was an example. The shul, the Chabad, and the Rosh Kollel, they lived next door to each other. Their wives were best friends. It was an unusual thing.
The rabbis
years ago.
The rabbis got along?
They were best friends.
Not the rabbis. The rabbis
The
also?
rabbis got along great. In fact, the Rosh Kollel used to say the Pirkei Avos in the Chabad shul. And you should know, my wife's grandparents live in Silver Spring. I've been to Silver Spring many times, and the speaker on Shabbos afternoon, he always gave Pirkei Avos, was the rabbi of what we would say a competing shul.
But Yitsy told me himself that when he started going to Silver Springs, his brother-in-law refused to go to the Chabad shul.
I was in the Chabad shul in Silver
Hold on a
Springs.
second.
He's a top guy.
His brother-in-law originally refused to come. I'm not going to say his name. And after a while, maybe he got old and lazy, because as he told me, Yitsy with the Chabad shul is closer. He started eventually coming too, right? True story?
That's a true story.
So that this transition...
You know why I was there? I was by Rabbi Volvovsky in Silver Springs because Trump's first inauguration was Shabbos Friday afternoon, and I was not going to miss that for anything in the world. There was no way to get back to New York, so I went to Silver Springs for Shabbos.
Yitsy, would you recommend Litvish people moving to, or Chabad people moving to Baltimore? Yes or no? And why is Brooklyn better or worse?
Baltimore is a wonderful community. Beautiful.
Just a few shootings here and there.
That's true, but that's not. The Jews don't live in that part of the area.
They say they hear the shots at night.
That's a little bit exaggerated.
It's also which part?
It's which part? Baltimore. Listen,
You can buy a house for
Didn't I
$400?
tell you to go to that Chinese place in
Great.
in
Patetsky's
Baltimore?
brother chased the guy out. The guy pulled out a gun.
Really?
He didn't think there was a guy in the shul. He came to steal a push guy. He got so scared he chased the guy out
Didn't
with a
I
gun.
tell you to go get that Chinese place in Baltimore?
Why is Baltimore underrated or overrated? Is it underrated or overrated, Yitsy?
It's underrated.
Why?
Baltimore's got a lot to offer. It's got a nice community, friendly people. I always look down upon it as Brooklyn, Baltimore.
How much is a house in
But
Baltimore?
Baltimore,
Starts at $4, right?
reasonable prices in mid-4s, mid-5s. You get a very nice house. It's a nice community. Listen, some things are more expensive there. I'm not going to say. I'm
You
not
need
going to
2
deny
cars?
that. You need 2 cars. There are things, but there's some wonderful quality of life is excellent.
But the people there are very cheap on food. My sister has 3 sister-in-laws that live there, and the biggest talk on Shabbos Hanukkah there was that one of the stores went up a quarter on a donut. I think it went up to like $1.75. It was about to be a riot. $10 donuts never came to Baltimore.
The best butcher in the kosher world, one of the best, is Wasserman and Lemberg. They make unbelievable stuff. It's in Baltimore.
It's probably cheap.
Is that the second the biggest?
It's
expensive?
It is expensive.
Is that the second biggest Litvish community outside of Brooklyn, Lakewood?
No, I think Chicago is bigger.
than-
No, but
Chicago, LA.
Baltimore, they hate Chabad. Ner Yishmael, they hate Chabad there.
Edit.
They hate it. I had a whole story with them.
What do you mean?
They had like a whole puppet show against Chabad one year.
Yeah, but they have Chabad.
They wouldn't apologize. They said that they're going to have the Rosh Hashiva put out an apology letter. Never happened.
They have a lot of Chabad,
So it happened with you?
Chabad
Not you?
families.
Guys sent me videos a few years ago.
Oh.
They made a whole perm shtick, a whole mock thing about against Chabad. And I called them up and I made them a lot of caterers. They said they're going to put out an apology. And we're
You
still
called
waiting.
who, the Rosh Hashiva?
I called the office and I called the principal and I called a few.
Wow, how
I
many years
called
ago?
big guys there.
But now you're doing Lakewood News, Clappy. You're coming a long way.
No, I'm saying that particular yeshiva needs to do a little tshuva.
I have some family in Lakewood. I once sent them some ad for one of my projects, and my cousin politely did not post it because he was afraid. Anyway, it's Yitsy, you're the first non-Chabad guy on our podcast.
That's an honor.
So we're dumping everything on you.
Everything on
We're
it.
dumping all on you.
Took one for the
It's an
team.
honor to be here. I happen to just throw Baltimore one thing. They have a nice community. It's a very listen. Getting jobs may be a little bit difficult. There is a lot of help there, but it definitely has its milas. And first of all, it's close enough that it's not far.
So, closing thoughts, Yitsy. Right? You still didn't tell us, what do you want your kids to be? You didn't give me your final answer.
I always say,
Not a
I
truck
want
driver?
whatever they want to do, I want them to want to do it. I want them to do it. I want them to do it in the right, honest way, sincerely, with honest, and put in effort and do what it is to do good for someone. I don't want them to be, just sitting around YouTube surfing and Netflix. I want them to be accomplishing
Unless they're
something
watching
good.
our show, then they can stay on YouTube all day.
After. That's at night when, at the end of the day.
Follow Yitsy, Yitz Food on Instagram. Soon more. Subscribe to Clappy and Frank. This is our 5th episode.
Subscribe and
I
like.
can't believe it. Yitsy.
Yeah, 5th episode.
It's insane.
Just
I thought
warming
this
up.
would
Just
Yitsy,
warming up.
Warming
Yitsy,
up.
give me these new names. I thought this would last maybe 1 or 2.
Just getting started.
I told Zev Brenner, I said, Zev, well, where this, like Moshe, I don't know his numbers on me. 90% of podcasts don't get more than 20 listens. And Baruch Hashem, thanks to the great support of our followers and COL. I want to do a shout out to COL.
COL's been a great help. Crown Heights Butcher's been a great help.
Posted our episode twice already.
Our friend from Security.
Yisrael
Corporate
Friend from
sponsor.
Corporate Sponsor. And many more coming. Fresh Fizz, our newest sponsor. Thank you all for your support. Subscribe, like now, so we could actually start making money. So far, we're just in the minus. So please help us. And I want to thank my brother Menachem, who's behind the cameras producing tonight's show. He did such a great job earlier this week with one of my newer channels. So I said we have to bring him into the studio. Thank you to Greg, our engineer. We do miss, I don't know if we miss Arthur. We'll see.
We miss Arthur a little bit.
I think we prefer Greg. He's younger.
Yeah.
He looks more like he's earning his money.
New energy.
New young energy. And thank you for sure. And last but not least, our great guest, Yitsy Shalevitz, for coming on to our pod, our first
Thank you for
shaved,
having me.
our first shaved Litvak onto the podcast. It's good. We made a little diversity. People thought it was just a Chabad podcast. I was getting nervous. Initially, I wasn't sure if the podcast would be Jewish altogether. It happens to be that the podcast evolved into what is the Haredi Chabad voice on the current events.
We're going to have everybody on the show.
And so Yitzy's our first Litvak. So,
An honor to be here.
hopefully you made you Litvaks look good with Yitsy. If not, I'm sorry. I do hear he's pretty popular in Flatbush. So
Baruch Hashem.
We'll see how many views he brings in.
we'll see. Yitsy, how many views are you predicting?
Predictions is not a good game to be in.
And hopefully your wife will let you back in the house after this.
He didn't say a word. He didn't say a word about her.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
My
I
wife
guess.
is Ezer Kenegdo. You know what that means? She's Ezer Kenegdo. She's the most important part. Without her, nothing happens.
Thank you so much, Yitsy, our truck driver, food specialist, Yitz Food on Instagram. Thank you all for listening, supporting. I just want to say, on behalf of me and Clappy, the support and views we're getting is unheard of. We're shocked. Are we shocked, Clappy?
We're very, very humbled.
Humbled how well we're being received. I mean, podcast is a commitment.
If one more person asks to take a selfie with me,
I'm not getting the selfie action. I am a little jealous, but hopefully things will come around.
is what it is.
But
Maybe he's better looking.
clearly, and better, and more well spoken.
100%.
Thank you so much for listening and following and supporting
Peace
Clappy
out.
and Frank. If you want to sponsor our podcast, please send us a message on YouTube or what?
You comment or whatever.
Comment something.
Private message us.
Private message
So
us. We need your support. We love your support, and thank you so much for your feedback. Seeing people on the street. You know what? I just want to say, my Instagram, Baruch Hashem, gets 10 to 40 million views a month. Everyday people. Here and there I get comments. This podcast is only getting 4,000 to 7,000 views so far. I'm getting crazy comments. For some reason, the podcast has
I
a
think
deeper.
the deeper meaning. But the thing is, people are spending a few hours watching our podcast.
don't
And
know
everyday
why- I don't
people
know
are
why.
getting. Rashkin was an hour and 40
I
minutes.
know. I don't know why they're listening so much.
They love it.
So it's a much deeper.
Once you pop, you can't stop. It's like a Pringle.
And I want to thank Clappy for pushing this podcast. It would not happen if not for him. So I want to thank you all. And please, when you see me, please ask for a selfie. I'm getting jealous.